Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Angry Dave podcast. I am Dave. My next guest is Ben. Ben, are we giving your last name?
I don't care. I was curious to what the hell you were going to come up with
Bucks
for
County Ben is what I
yeah,
was going to
I
call you.
thought you were going to go with like Burbs Ben or something like that. I feel
Bu-
like
Bucks County Ben or Benny Basketball, maybe one or the other.
whatever you want to go with.
All right,
I'm
we'll
fine
go
with
ahead.
either.
Ben, we known each other. We used to work together. I guess we known each other for about 6 or 7 years now. It's just
Yeah, which
something.
is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. You don't have any really angry Dave stories, do you?
Not straight up like, I've seen you get angry. What I've learned from listening to this podcast is that um you're really not that angry. You have little bursts of
Right.
anger. I've definitely seen some bursts of anger, whether it's, getting off the phone with opposing counsel or no names to be named there,
Yeah,
or a client, again, no names to be named there, or, really a coworker of ours, multiple coworkers of ours at the time, that would send you into a little bit of a tizzy, but usually it was just, close the door for a minute or two, let's talk shit, and we moved on with our day.
yeah, yeah. People are learning that you can just weather the storm if you just ignore a fucking baby for 5 minutes.
Oh man, I use that in my everyday life with my own baby. So yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, good. 47-year-old baby. That's great. All right. So, Ben, you grew up in Bucks County, correct?
I did. I
You were,
did. That's the name is proper.
yeah. What year were you born?
1987.
1987. Talk to me about childhood. You have one sister,
I have two sisters.
two sisters.
Believe it or not, I have two sisters, two half brothers from my dad's first marriage.
Yeah.
My dad was good at getting married, not good at staying in marriages.
Huh.
But no, I'm the baby of three or
Yep.
five, depending on how you want to look at it.
Right.
And yeah, my sisters, still to this day baby me.
Yeah. Yeah. You get babied by the ladies. Me too, buddy.
Yes, exactly. That's
I
exactly right. Yeah.
have my whole life.
Yep. Nothing has changed even now.
Talk to me about growing up. What was it like?
Growing up was interesting. I come from like a very affluent area, and I don't know if my family really fit that mold. My parents divorced when I was two-ish, maybe. I don't obviously remember much of that. I remember, some of the aftermath of that growing up.
Right.
And I just remember as a kid, both my sisters really, shouldering the load at home at a young age. We're like 5 and 6 years apart, respectively. So my sisters are 15 months apart. And my mom worked insane hours and, wanted to maintain the school district that we went to and the house that we lived in. And she tried to make things as normal as possible for us growing up. And, my sisters shouldered kind of the heavy load around the house, and kind of keeping things in order growing up. So it was like that, from a very young age through, really high school. But yeah, it was, me and my sisters are still thick as thieves, and it's probably just because of that growing up.
Yeah. They were taking care of you. You're almost like parental figure almost.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't get me wrong, my mom is the absolute best, but
Yeah.
she worked very long hours. She was in the car a lot as a kid. So,
Yeah.
at that time, early in life, we didn't have, I had my mom had like a beeper. So we,
Right.
it'd shoot like the 413 or whatever just to let her know we were safe or home from school or that kind of stuff. But, it wasn't like we had cell phones that we could keep track of each other and that kind of stuff. My mom was gone early in the morning through some nights 6, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So it was just hard.
What were you like at that time? What would your sisters and mom say about little Ben, like middle school Ben?
My sisters would tell you I was a good kid. I for whatever reason, didn't like I didn't feel the need to act up. And maybe it was just because like, my sisters made it abundantly clear, but like we just had a good relationship. I just kind of fell in line and did what they asked me to do growing up. And, I think my mom would tell you the same thing. I can tell you as I've gotten older that, my mom would, and my sisters will admit it too, that my mom will tell you that I'm her favorite kid. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and maybe that's because I don't live in the burbs
Yeah.
anymore. I'm kind of like an outlet for my mom
Yeah.
at this point. But my sisters, my sisters would tell you I was well behaved for an added child when they were,
5 and 6 years old.
10, 11, 12. Yeah, like insane.
Yeah. How about in high school? What were you like in high school?
I was the same, man. I honestly like pretty well behaved kid.
Yeah.
I did my shit, and whether that was because my values that my mom tried to instill in us,
Yeah.
and the struggle that she made it abundantly clear when we were young that like you're gonna do well in school and you're
Yeah.
gonna go to college and all that other shit because she only did part-time college and she struggled. And so I think like whether it was, and it wasn't like the fear that did it. It was just like, I think just seeing what my mom was going through,
Yeah.
trying to raise, three kids at the time and part time, my older half brother who lived with us some, for some length of time as I was a kid,
Yeah.
my mom just took on a lot. So it was, I did my shit. I played basketball growing up, played basketball throughout high school, and it was, that's probably the best thing for me as far as keeping us on a good track. I
Right.
never wanted to like miss time from that, so I always just kind of did my shit.
Yeah.
Um, and school never was difficult, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
didn't, there wasn't anything that I never felt like I could learn or do or apply.
Yeah. Affluent neighborhood. Any memories about that? How was that growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I love where I grew up.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough now that, my childhood best friends, that we all kind of lived in the same area and in the same neighborhood now are kind of all in the Philly area and we all still kind of maintain that friendship. So that's a pretty cool piece of it. I talked to, the same people from when I was 5, 6, 7 and in elementary school all the way till now, like that's my core group. Lucky enough, like, enough of us were a couple backyards away from one another that by bike or whatever it was, we were able to just go knock on doors and find each other for sports or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We were always close enough that it was good.
How about home life at that time? Similar to when you were in middle school?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I
Yeah.
was, basically not home alone. My oldest sister went to Jefferson, but she never went to school, so she was around and living at home or at, her now husband's. They've been together since I was 10 years old.
Right.
So my brother-in-law has been around, you know,
Your whole life.
25 years, yeah,
Yeah.
my whole life. He's kind of, a big influence in my life, but my sisters were never far. My other, the middle child, Amanda, she went to Arcadia and played basketball, so she was never too far away from us either. And I used to go and visit her when I was in high school and things of that nature. But yeah, it was, fairly normal. Just always had probably a little bit more freedom than my friends that grew up in normal-ish households, I guess.
Yeah. Right. You graduated high school what year?
2006.
2006. And then what do you do after that?
Went to Drexel. So I started Drexel the fall of 2006. I commuted my freshman year as one of those losers that hopped on the train every day from Bucks County and,
Yeah.
like ate lunch by myself and fucking was a nerd for the first couple months of school and then started to, make some friends and would stay on campus a little bit more. But
Yeah.
looking back now, like, I don't know why I didn't just go to like community college my first year if I was going to commute. Wildly stupid
Yeah.
of me. I don't know why nobody advised me to do otherwise, but yeah, I mean, it was the best thing. In the long run, it's been the best thing for me. Drexel it was great. I probably built more connections outside of school, but in Philly
Yeah.
at that time over those 5 years than anything else. I've worked in the restaurant industry for forever. I was lucky enough that like, my first co-op that I had at Drexel, I worked for a PR agency and like opened one of the best nightclubs at the time in Philly. So it was like and that kind of like helped springboard some of the relationship building that I had.
How about school itself for those 5 years? What was that like?
Yeah, kind of the same. I mean, I don't I like I probably had the opportunity to push myself a little bit more. I probably could have taken on some a marketing and entrepreneurship major, and that kind of stuff. The business side of things, just again, it kind of came more naturally to me. I didn't, I used to, the lowest grade I got in college was like a C, and it was because it was history,
Yeah.
and it was the last lecture I had of the day, and my fucking professor wrote our textbook
Yeah.
and literally would just speak it verbatim
Oh,
during
yeah.
lecture.
That's
So I
awful.
used to fucking catch the earlier train. I'd hang out for like 25 minutes. I'd just get up in the middle of his lecture and leave, and then not really read his textbook either. Reading's never been my thing.
Yeah.
It's never been top priority for me. I wish I was a better reader. Even now, later in life, I wish I was a better reader.
Yeah. I don't really like reading too,
No.
although I do it a lot, or I have done it a lot for work.
Yeah, yeah.
But so you graduate in what year?
2011.
And what did you grad? What degree did you have?
So I had a bachelor's, like a dual major in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Gotcha. Did you go to grad school after that?
No grad school.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no grad school. I've been working. I was working at the time, actually for a competitor of the company slash firm that you and I worked at together.
Yeah.
And when I was in school, I used to avoid co-ops or internships or even anything law firm related.
Right.
Just it felt stuffy to me and like
Yeah.
not on brand with what I wanted to do, which ultimately, whatever we'll get to. But I was working part time at said law firm my senior year, and that was again a relationship from the restaurant industry. They were working at the firm. They brought me in to do some part time work, and then when I graduated, I stayed on there, and it was a safe thing. It was the
Right.
safest thing I could have done at the time.
Yeah.
I made a lot of safe decisions in my life.
Yeah.
Uh,
Me too. You graduate, you're working at the law firm, and then you go over to the law firm that we were working at together. Is that what happened?
So I took a little bit of a a leap from there. Contact that I had that brought me into that law firm had left and was starting their own kind of networking, medical, legal, sales type. It was networking, but it was referrals and kind of putting doctors and groups and stuff like that together, and
Yeah.
rubbing shoulders with different law firms than the one that we worked at the time. And she brought me on as like a salaried employee, and it was a no brainer for me. I was doing better than I was at the other law firm, and we are gonna have more freedom, and it was like a chance to kind of grow something
Yeah.
organically.
Yeah.
The problem is that my business partner at the time put a lot of things on my plate, and spent a lot of times at like the pool when we should have been prospecting or
Yeah.
doing things like that. So the autonomy of it was great, besides for the fact that like a 22-year-old kid that I wasn't ready for like that level of for my own self. I
Yeah.
wasn't ready to build a business at that time.
The commitment,
Um,
was it? Is it the commitment or just the
it was
responsibility?
it was commitment, it was direction, it was dealing with the folks from our industry that
Yeah.
they were looking for an easier way for referrals and these connections into the firms that maybe they hadn't gotten referrals from in the past, and trying to turn water into wine for them.
Yeah.
It was a difficult task. And then to ask them for a marketing fee every month and be the one to have to be like, hey, I need a check. Go
Yeah.
knock on their door after they were like, well, you didn't do anything this month. Or like,
Right.
so and so didn't do anything. They didn't deliver on what you promised. And there were certain relationships that we had better success with than others. So that,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But in order to actually be able to build that business, like it wasn't going to work out long term.
So I just want you just to give a little bit of brief background on what this medical legal work you're talking about. Explain that to people because I don't think people that are not in our industry understand what that entails, how that works.
Yeah. I mean, I to this day, I just kind of say that I managed relationships really at the end of the
Right.
day. It's something that I think personally I'm good at.
Yeah.
I doing outreach, touching base with people and making sure that like, everybody's happy. But really that role was somebody gets injured on the job or in a car accident or whatever it is, they seek help from an attorney. That attorney used my service to then help coordinate the medical care for that person. So, at the end of the day, it was about, convenience
Yeah.
for the patient getting to the appointment. It was creating relationships for, the attorneys with new doctors, the doctors with new attorneys,
Yeah.
and making sure that all in all it was a good fit. And then really on the back end, I was also helping track down reports and medical records and kind of like giving a playbook to the doctor or giving a playbook to the attorney for what like needed to be
Yeah.
done and then handling all the coordination in between. So I'm just playing a middleman between a law firm and a doctor really at the end of the day and helping create new relationships and new networks.
Right, because doctors get business by getting those patients, and attorneys get their clients good medical care, and then sometimes get referrals from those doctors, and vice versa, right? I mean, and then that's the way the world works in our business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like, I think some of the keys are obviously the ease,
yeah,
for the access to the doctors or for the attorneys and how communicative they are. And so,
right.
that's something that I think I value about myself is that, my phone is, if my phone's on me and I'm not dead or asleep, you're most likely going to get an answer.
Yeah.
Um, whether it's a phone call or a text message, I'm pretty quick at getting back to people and then maybe it's my years in that business that kind of molded me that way. But it's something like it was important to me and important to the context that I had. So,
Yeah. And you had a similar role then when you moved and transitioned into the place that we met.
yep, yep,
And you have since moved on from there, though.
I have. It's been a wild ride after what felt like a very stable and again safe choice.
Yeah.
And plenty of years at that place. I left during the pandemic and went to the medical side. So I went from the legal side to the medical side to help kind of get a practice off the ground.
How'd that work out, brother?
Well, it's the pandemic is quote unquote over, and so is my time in that position. No, it's not. It was short lived, but it was short lived for a couple of reasons. It was a lot of hours and a lot of time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of explanation and a lot of like, here's why we should do what we should do, and then getting that shot down
Yeah.
by the owner of the company.
So they bring you in for your expertise and then do not listen to anything you say.
Correct. They pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, some things I got to implement some things, and I also like I feel I honestly in the amount of time that I was there, I feel like I made an impact.
Well,
I made an impact so much that the office is now closed and the doctor has gone in-house somewhere else where I had suggested he start going what in my time that I was working there. So, my it was shot down at the time that I was working there, but conveniently a couple months after I'd left, he was then scooped up by the group that I thought he was going to get scooped up by when I was there. So,
so, and more recently, you have transitioned into a different kind of like role.
yeah, I financial services just completely left the med legal world and I guess I'm still in kind of, this relationship management, this salesy type role. It's just it happens to be a completely different business. And one that I've been working my butt off for almost 2 years now to learn to be able to talk the talk, to be able to walk the walk, to actually, you know, know the impact that I'm making, and the way that I'm able to help people. So it's still it's a lot more. I think a lot more goes into it, and it's definitely more of a salesier role than it is kind of that relationship management, like
Yeah.
the tit for tat type deal.
So tell people what you do, like what service are you offering, just so they know if they listen to this podcast and they want to get the service.
Yeah, so my company's called Retire US, and really at the crux of it, we're retirement planning. We help from everything with, your current plan, opening new accounts, and really it's full service, but it's planning first, investing second. So, what we found is obviously a lot of people, are plugging into their employee sponsored plan, but they don't really have an idea or they've never quantified retirement or what they actually need. And so our team takes a look at all of it. What your savings capacity is, what your current cash flow is, what your ins, what your out are. Are you maxing your 401k? Is it matched at your employer? Is there more that you can be doing to put yourself in better position for your long-term goals? So we're doing it as a subscription-based service, which is definitely different from most of the industry.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm excited about it. It gives me kind of new life every day for what we're building.
So it is a financial advisor, but affordable for a regular person.
That's the goal. Yep.
Yeah.
We have a team of certified financial planners, which is really the highest designation in the industry.
Yeah.
And the way that we're able to offer the service and centralize what we do, we can do it at basically a 90% discount from what the industry standard is. So yeah, it's giving, Joe Schmo like you and I,
Yeah.
just kidding.
No.
But no, it's giving everybody the opportunity to be able to work with the highest level of financial service that's out there.
Right. So what wealthy people do all the time, it's a service now is to regular people.
Yeah.
And it's affordable. I'm doing it, or I'm trying to start doing it. Ben's going to kill me if I don't give
Yeah.
him
No, it's
all of my information. But
it's accountability, man, and
yeah,
that's the hardest thing. It's a lot of a lot of what you've asked on this podcast of people, right? You're kind of like looking inside.
yeah,
People's finances are like, that's a whole other hard shell that
yeah.
folks have, and myself included. That like it's really hard to take a look in the fucking mirror and be like, I need help,
Right,
right?
right.
And it's really hard to justify spending money on something to then help create wealth down the line. Like it's but we spend money in ways every day. It's I've given you the personal trainer analysis, and that's the
Yeah,
way that, you can have a gym membership, but if you're not going to make yourself go, right?
yeah,
Or you're not going to see the results,
right.
like you're not doing it right. And it's the same thing with a financial advisor, right? Like we're there to hold you accountable to make sure that you're doing the right things and you're taking the right steps.
Yeah, and quite frankly, it's hard for people like me that feel like they bootstrap themselves. Right, nobody's helped them along the way, and then to go ask for help. It's a little bit hard sometimes to reach that conclusion. But you're not an expert in everything. So, and finances is one of those things that is a weird, little sector of its own. And everybody thinks that they're an expert because they read the Wall Street Journal, but you're not. So, getting some help, especially if it could be fairly cheap, is a good idea. And that's my pitch to anybody, really, and not just a pitch on your service. But we're not experts at everything.
Yeah. I'm not going to represent myself in court.
Yeah,
If,
right.
if something were to happen, I'd call you for a referral somewhere if I needed it. And that's really the way that I look at it. It's
Yeah,
like, the service that we're providing is one that is, you'd be surprised and shocked at the numbers of how many people feel unprepared,
yeah,
or don't have an actual plan or haven't ever quantified it. And you're shooting yourself in your foot, especially in times like now with, with everything that's going on. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you think that, not looking at it or not checking it, or, that you're just throwing money at things that you think are going to help you long term and you don't actually know if they're working for you.
right. All right, let's talk about your personal life. What's going on in your personal life right now?
There's this little 16-month old, almost a year and a half now, running around. That's been that, he threw a wrench in a lot of things. No, my son is, honestly, it sounds so corny to say it because I was never going to be this guy, but he really is like the biggest blessing. And,
Yeah,
I'm just so thankful that, like, I don't know, I guess I got myself to the point where, you know, I wanted a child.
yeah,
It was a battle. It was a battle with my wife. It was a battle for a long time, internally. And I think that probably has a lot to do with, my parents divorcing
yeah,
too, and
yeah,
some of the previous relationships that I have, as a model and a mold, and to see kids get thrown into the mix, and see the way that people change. I don't know if I ever wanted that or I worried about that, but it was a short-sighted and extremely selfish way for me to think, I think, for a long time.
yeah, yeah. Well, how long you been married?
5 years in 2 weeks.
Did marriage change anything for you, as opposed to just being together?
I don't know if like Mm, I would say no.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like marriage. No, marriage didn't. You know, there's certain levels of accountability. There's certain things that like I mean, Tori's a saint for putting up with me anyway because I still am a pain in the ass and I still like to party probably a little too much and I let myself get out of hand and she puts up with that kind of shit
Yeah.
and she did before we got engaged and before we got married and she's gone I've put her through I any number of tests that most people would have just been like you're not worth and I still to this day can tell her she just I gave her all the red flags possible before we got married and she just heeded her own advice but here we are it's 5 years of marriage we've been together for 9
Wow.
at this point
Yeah.
and
And you're how old right now?
35.
35. All right. So you guys have been together since you're 26.
Yep.
All right. Got
Yep.
it. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we were, yeah, but I mean, that's, my son is, it's everything kind of revolves around him every day.
Yeah.
And has to, right? Like, but I'm lucky enough, like working from home the majority of the time, like I can see him throughout the day and we're lucky enough. We have 3 wonderful grandparents
Yeah.
of his that come and help out throughout the day when tours work. And so, yeah, I mean, it marriage wasn't much of a change.
Yeah.
Um,
How about the kid?
the kid has been a change for sure.
Yeah.
And just in like, I good thing. I mean, listen, he's great. Like
Yeah.
he sleeps. He's he's not extremely fussy. We were lucky enough that like even as a baby he slept and he like he didn't cry a ton. No, we've had our ups and downs. You have your
Sure.
battles, and
Sure.
but for the most part, he's been great.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm deathly afraid of ever talking about even having a second one.
Are you guys talking about it? Why?
No, we're not talking about it. We're not. We're on March 21st, and I know the exact date, but I told her we're 18 months away from even having a conversation about having a second child. And she went into her like Google Calendar and put a reminder in that like September 21st, 2024, she's allowed to like bring up the possibility of having a second child. My wife is also like she has like chronic fatigue. Like
Yeah.
we are polar opposites. I spread myself super thin, as you know.
Yeah.
I say yes to probably I say yes to too much,
Yep.
really. She says no to everything.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the fucking tortoise and the hare, really, at home. It's I like and she knows it and she'll admit it, right?
Yeah.
Like he wakes up in the morning, I go downstairs and get him. I get breakfast ready. Like I leave Sleeping Beauty in bed for another hour. Even on mornings when she's off of work and I'm working. Like she's not a morning person. She's not much of a night person either. Not if you're out. She likes to sit on the couch and watch some TV and hang out, but like I showed her a lot and I bust her balls about it. Like I don't know what you think would happen if we have a second one, but I'm not playing 2-on-1 every morning with 2 separate routines. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's time to put up or shut up or like, the next 18 months are a dress rehearsal if she thinks she's got any chance of getting a second child.
Ben's not running his own defense.
No, I'm not. No, I don't even want to play man to man right now. I play man to man most mornings. So no, I'm not definitely sure shit ain't doing it with the second one involved.
So tell me about what's your plan for the next 5 or 10 years? What are you going to do? You're going to figure out whether you're going to have that second kid.
That's
Part of
18
it.
that's 18 months away from a conversation even. Um I, I don't have a hard 5-year plan.
Okay.
I'm currently really happy with what I'm doing from
Yeah.
a work perspective.
Yeah.
Um and like what we're building and like I'm excited about that. So I hope that kind of continues. And we have some lofty goals for where we want to be in 5 years as kind of a more nationally recognized brand and growing that. So like that's I wake up every day with kind of the thoughts of that. And like, I know work's not supposed to be, you know, the main thing, but I'm lucky enough that I also work with, one of my childhood best friends and what we're building, I'm excited about. So I would say really that from a work perspective. From a personal standpoint, we live in South Philly. We're a couple blocks away from where our sons are going to go to elementary school. I don't foresee much changing on that front. Our house is big enough for the 3 of us. I don't know about if we had a fourth, but no, we're lucky in that regard. So like that feels, I mean, that feels good. And then really outside of that, I'm excited as my son gets older to get him involved in what he wants to get involved in. There's things as a dad that I'd love for him to play baseball or basketball. I'm put golf clubs in his hands as soon as he is ready. He has a plastic set, but right now they're just kind of used as weapons and to hit
Right.
books under the couch and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean that's really it. Like staying in South Philly and then just kind of as things come. Tori and I we like to travel and we take Noah on trips. I enjoy being in Philadelphia, and so I don't foresee us going anywhere anytime soon.
Are you going to be a parent that brings your kid on all your trips? I don't bring my kids anywhere because I'm an evil human being.
You and I think have very different, not philosophies about this, because I don't really have a philosophy about it. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. My
Yeah.
wife would wants to bring him everywhere, and
Right.
it's part of it is like, how am I supposed to go X amount of days without seeing my son? We're like,
Right.
no, like there are certain things that I'm definitely going to do on my own.
Yeah.
One thing that I know that you're like devoutly against, which I've broken probably your cardinal rule 1,000 times, is like Noah's been to probably 50 bars in Philadelphia in his first 15 months of life,
No,
and that's just because I like he doesn't like
well,
he
he's a baby. I'm
okay.
okay with the
All right.
babies.
Well, he like fits into my lifestyle. If he's being
Yeah.
crazy, like I don't take him places where it's shoulder to shoulder with people and like,
I
that
honestly,
kind of shit.
honestly, I like to rant about it, but I don't really care about kids being places. I have parties all the time with kids there, but if your kid's acting like an asshole, you need to take them out of the situation.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So and if we go out to eat
Yeah.
and he starts to like act up or like, things are getting thrown on the
Yeah.
ground, like I'm the first one. I don't care. I'll walk outside of the restaurant. Like you know what, if I don't care if I have to miss the rest of the meal or if I don't
Right.
like it's that kind of shit. Like I agree with you. If
Yeah.
like there's a way to if they're completely acting out and they're ruining the
Right.
experience for other folks,
Yeah. My
I,
problem's not with the kids, it's really with the
with the
parents.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I spent many a days on a bar stool when I was a teenager and with my grandfather, drinking Cokes. I wouldn't give the time up for anything. So yeah, I get it, but you just can't be your kid can't be a dick
Yeah.
and you can't expect us all to deal with
Yeah, I grew up in bars with my dad too. I
it. Yeah.
like I I have like had obviously like giant plastic containers from the crane machine,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
50 cents and it's just like he's gonna be gone for the next 20 minutes. I can chug another Coors Light, and my dad's mine like, and I'm coming back with stuffed animals left and right to the point where like they bought these giant fucking plastic containers just to keep them because it was like it became like a game for me. I was like, all right, like how many can I actually get?
I was amazing at shufflebowl. You know,
Shuffleboard.
you know that
Yeah.
you know that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
amazing.
I actually was good at shuffleboard as a
Oh
kid.
yeah,
They used to give me like a stool to stand on and play against my dad,
yeah.
but
Let's talk about your dad a little bit. We sort of haven't talked about him at all.
yeah.
What was the relationship with him like growing up?
Yeah, I had I mean, I lived with my mom, but
Yeah,
I still got to see my dad and used to stay there not every weekend or every other weekend, but it was pretty regular. My dad was my coach for baseball and basketball growing up, so like that was I think that was really like what kind of tethered him to us as kids.
yeah,
Same thing with my sister Amanda. Like he coached her all the way up until junior high, until we started playing school ball and that kind of stuff. But like my mom, what's my mom's phrase is like my dad loved well and didn't live well type deal. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
he loved us, and I had probably more of like a friend relationship with my dad, especially as I got older, 12, 13, 14, 15, more so than like relying on him as a parent.
yeah,
I kind of, my mom willingly, I think, had to play the bad guy just to kind of like keep us in line
yeah,
because my dad wasn't willing to do it.
yeah,
But overall, like I look back now and I'm thankful for the relationship that I did have with him.
right,
It just as we got older, it was just kind of more, he was somebody like I made time to see him when I could, but I wasn't exactly going out of my way in my 20s and 30s to make sure that like I spent time with him just
right.
because
Yeah,
I
yeah, you're
wasn't exactly top priority as a kid unless it was a basketball game
right,
and on a Saturday morning.
right.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I got it. Is he still with us?
he's not. So he passed. August 2020, I guess. I
Yeah.
think it was 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're coming up on 3 years, but and he battled like Alzheimer's coming down the stretch. So it was like the last, we put him into a assisted living facility probably almost a year before.
Yeah.
So like that last year was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Not the fondest memories, obviously, but also like I felt like I had a very long leeway of like saying goodbye to my dad
Yeah.
because it wasn't sudden.
Right.
And he was a cowboy, man. He lived his life the way that he wanted to do it, and no matter how many people told him like you can't drink a case of Coors Light a day, like he never stopped drinking a case of Coors Light a day. So,
Yeah.
like there's repercussions for that. Like, oh, okay, you're in your 70s and the last time you saw a primary care doctor, you were 35. Like, yeah, there's probably an issue there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not taking care of yourself. Like, so it was
Yeah.
the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
Plenty of times I had a conversation with my dad that could have lasted 30 seconds on the phone and it went like 12 to 15 minutes because it was the same 30-second conver like,
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
about the Phillies, asked about like it told me about the weather and then like turned back around and was like, "So, did you catch the Phillies?" And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Rough.
or plenty of times like he hung up the phone and call you right back 10 seconds later, but it is what it is. All in all, like I'm thankful for the relationship, the time that I had with him and that
Yeah.
like he wasn't completely gone, right? Like it
Right.
was I still got to spend time with my dad. He was still around. It wasn't like I never got to know him. So
Right.
regardless of how, I will tell you it was a mistake. If you go 9 months back from my birthday, it's February 17th. So it might have been like a last ditch at saving a marriage that wasn't savable.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some advice you might give to people. How about the 18-year-old version of you? What would you tell yourself?
Go to community college for a year. No, I don't know. I like there's not a lot that I would change. You know what I would tell myself? Don't gamble.
Yeah.
Don't go down the spiral that I went down. That would be, I had heard it from multiple sources not to do it and
Yeah.
never took that advice from anybody until, years and years later.
You
So
want to talk a little bit about it?
yeah, we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Just tell me. So you struggle with it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it's been since March of 2016 that I haven't gambled in any way. I haven't placed a bet. And it just got progressively worse.
Yeah.
Especially the last like 2 years. It was just like I was all over the place. And it was I guess I'm lucky. I got out like right before FanDuel
Yeah.
and all these on, don't get me wrong, my one bookie had a website you
Yep.
could go to and you can place them and it just consumed so much of my time and energy and like I was never I was never present. I sure as shit wouldn't be sitting in, here talking to you right now
In my basement.
in your basement. No, I just like it consumes so much of me. And looking back now, it's like how much time, money, and energy did I waste. There were things I couldn't plan, if friends want to do something for a weekend. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to plan anything 2 to 3 weeks out because God knows what kind of swing I would have been on. You know what, I could have been able to. There were times where I could have fronted an entire trip for my friends,
Yeah.
and then the following week, where there were times when I wouldn't have been able to pay rent for 3 months. It
Oh,
was just a lot of back and forth and a lot of ups and downs and nothing good for me mentally. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, looking back and some behaviors that even if I didn't think I had a problem, if I look back now at some of the things like that I did, it's like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
you're in deep.
Yeah. 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 And no win was good enough. No loss was enough.
Yeah, there was nothing, and at the tail end of it, it's like the dollar amounts didn't even matter. There wasn't enough to move the needle, which is
Yeah.
like that's luckily that didn't start until the tail end, but
Yeah.
it got bad.
Scary. All right. How about any advice for new parents? I know you're kind of a new parent yourself,
I
but
guess I'm still learning every day.
yeah.
Um, I the only thing I can say is like, be patient. Like I remember I- it's crazy to think like how much my son has changed since those first couple weeks and I'm seeing I'm seeing some new parents now, friends of mine that, all within like the last couple
Yeah.
weeks or months. And
Yeah.
it's like, holy shit, to think like I was in that, in their shoes without a clue. And it's just patience, like especially early on.
Yeah.
It's you get into a repetition and things get easier, and like you have to, and I'll tell you, as the man in the relationship, like whatever your wife or baby mama needs, like you just do it, and you don't
Yeah.
ask, and you don't, like, there's no reason to be combative, and there's no like it's stressful and it's time consuming, and it's there's a lot of unknowns when you become a new parent.
Yeah.
You just have to support. It's just all
Yeah.
about support. You put your own feelings and your own needs on the back burner for a little bit until you get yourself into a flow, and until you and it's all about support early on.
How about young workers? Any advice for young workers?
Yeah, don't get complacent. I think there's a mentality from, maybe the generation before us, that like
Yeah.
stability and like, you can stay somewhere for 30 years and that kind of shit. And I'm not saying that's not possible now. I just think in the world that we live in, there are so many different opportunities. Like you have to be willing to put yourself out there and just don't get complacent. If you get stuck somewhere, the longer that you're stuck in something that you don't like and you don't want to do, the harder it is to get away from it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've found. You know what I mean? And
I
keep
agree.
your resumes updated. Like that's, as you go into a new role, keep your resume updated. Don't wait until you're at a company for a year, 2 years, or 3 years to go back and revisit your resume. When you know what you're doing, go and update it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not a big, I'm a job jumper, so
Yeah,
uh,
but you're not. Like
yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd stay a few years, but if I'm done, I'm done. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
If I'm not happy anymore, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
moving on.
it's not worth it.
How about bosses? Any advice for some young bosses of the world?
I would tell you, in kind of the role that I'm in, you have to be willing to work with people. You can't, like, even as a boss, not everything can be your way.
Yeah,
You have to be willing to listen, and to those that you're managing or that are employed by you, and you have to be open to changing and adapting. I think there's far too many people that aren't willing to make necessary changes,
yeah,
whether or not they're just stuck in their own way. But there's people that might work for you, that have good ideas, or that see things that you might not see, and you have to be willing to work, regardless of what their title is and regardless of what their position is. If somebody comes with an idea, it's that you need to be open to that kind of stuff.
yeah. Who was the person or people that were most impactful in your life? You have anybody? Who would you say?
Yeah, he would. I mean, he'd murder me if I said it, but he won't. Like, he's not like a podcast guy. So I mean, my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is
Yeah,
definitely my biggest influence, and still to this day, like I value everything about my brother-in-law, Justin. Like the way he, like I said, I've known him since I was 10. I grew up with him, but like
yeah,
he helped mold me into, the man that I am. Like again, my dad was great. Not really. It, my dad never pushed me anyway. Never like
yeah,
I you know, I went to my dad's to eat homemade deep fried French fries and drink a 2 liter of Coke and stay up until all hours of the night. There wasn't rules.
yeah,
And I think early on, like I think I was just like I was soft, really. I
yeah,
was kind of like a pussy and a baby, and my brother-in-law really helped kind of move me away from that, and that mentality and that baby mentality, which,
yeah,
again, I can blame my sisters for that. I can blame myself for allowing myself to be babied for as long as I was, but
yeah,
he definitely helped move me in the right direction, and still is. He's a huge influence in my life today. Like I don't know what I would ever do without him.
yeah. Any advice for new husbands? What would you say?
Don't do whatever I did. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I have a great relationship with my wife. Open and honesty. Like
Yeah,
I don't know, you know, when you're filing joint taxes together as opposed to single, like I don't know if there's certain things that like change, but like communication around that stuff becomes far more important, and the financial decision making that you're making together, I guess, is where, and maybe that's just societal norms, is like, you get married, you buy a house, you have a kid, blah 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 blah, like
Yeah.
you're through like this whole just dating phase. It's just open and communication. And I would also say, like, you still have to make time for one another. Like, just because
Yeah.
you sign that piece of paper, like, you're still do date nights and cute things and that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah. You can't stop trying.
you can't stop trying. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
And yeah, my other advice to everybody is you have to find time for yourself as well. And and
Important.
and you have to let her have time for herself too.
Yeah.
It can't
Sometimes in my situation, sometimes I have to force
yeah.
her to make time for herself.
I've actually been there. I've actually been there. Like, and that's why Laura probably won't admit this, but that's why she does comedy, because I'm like, you need to go and get a fucking hobby, dude. Like, you need to get out of this house. Anyway, this is about you.
There's a lot of shit and self-deprecation that I can give you if you
All
need
right.
it.
All
So
right, good. So, because we're going to move on to
yeah,
embarrassing stories.
let's move on to the embarrassing stories.
All right. I need a drunk or high story.
Almighty. Uh, there's no good high stories, because all
Okay.
of my anytime I've been high, it's been absolutely fucking miserable and atrocious.
Yeah.
I'm like the type that I if you blow a puff of weed in my face, I'm high for like a day. Like, it's just I'm so bad at it that
Are you paranoid when you get
I
there?
get paranoid. It's not even really like it's I have like a weird issue with time. Like,
Yeah.
I like time is what fucks me up when I'm high.
Yeah.
Um, like, real quick, I went to Firefly down in Delaware. I'm driving down with my buddy, and he like has me hit his bowl as we're like going over Girard Point Bridge. Like, we're not even at the fucking airport. We just left Philly, and he's like, "Just take a hit. Come on, we're going to a festival." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "All right, whatever." We were supposed to stop at Naaman's Road to go to Total Wine, like to
Yeah.
get booze for basically, the group that we had.
Yeah.
We missed the exit, and we missed the exit. I don't know why. Like, still to this day, I don't know why. So anyway, like, I just blamed it on being high, but I only took one hit of a bullet. Dave's like, to you, there's no way that you're fucking high, dude. So I don't know why. As far as drunk stories go, dude, I, there's, more than a handful. There's more than a handful of embarrassing ones, more times than not, that I, probably have that one extra drink that I shouldn't have. So,
Uh-huh.
you want to give me a time period? You want to give me a year, and I'll give you a dumb drunk Ben story.
All right. More recent story. A last 5 year story.
Oh, I mean, Jesus Christ! In the last 5 years, there's plenty of those. I in my bachelor party.
All right, let's go. Bachelor party.
So we're doing some house, Scottsdale house drinking, hanging out. I decided to play beer pong with gin. I was making gin transfusions,
Uh-huh.
and after, it was like the marquee night, Saturday night,
Yeah.
to go, or no, maybe it was Friday night, whatever it was. It was like the night that we were all going to go out. We were all going to go out in old Scottsdale, and I don't know why I decide to make these types of decisions. So unnecessary, but I wound up, like, just naked running around the house. And it's February. It's the first weekend in February. I did a cannonball into the pool, which was like, even in Scottsdale, it gets cold at night, so the
Right.
pool wasn't warm. It was fucking bone chilling, and I just ass naked cannonball into this pool. And it's just like it's a house full of like my best friends and dudes, and they're just like, nobody even bats an eye, because just like, this is the type of shit that they just expect from me.
um,
Um,
so you hit the pool. Does your penis go back inside your
yeah,
body?
yeah, yeah. That was definitely an experience, and not one I would recommend. Um, Sobering, I guess, but not that sobering. Still not sobering enough.
So,
It caused I went right back out to start boozing again. So yeah, I have plenty of those. As the weather starts to get nicer, like and the days get longer, I enjoy like drinking in the day and in the sun.
Ben's a day drinker.
I am a day drinker.
How about a drunk mid-20s story? So early 20.
Oh God, I was working at a club in Center City,
Uh,
and living at Drexel at the time, and I was coming from I tried not to drive,
Yeah.
obviously, because we used to get rowdy late night. But I was at that time I was actually coming from one of my co-ops from Drexel, so I went down. This is early 20s, but
Yeah.
I ended up driving, parking in the parking garage, and I blacked out after work, like
Uh-huh.
4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and I wake up in my bed, and shoes are still on. I don't know how I got home, and there's a pizza in my bed as well, just a whole pizza. Shoes on, still in my work outfit, sticky, gross. I'm like, fuck, I gotta go get my car. Like it's still at the lot. Now I'm gonna have to pay extra. Nope. Car was parallel parked outside. So I start calling bosses and they're like, dude, like you were fine. I was like, I was not fine, guys. We were drinking until 4:30, 5 o'clock. There's no way I was fine. They were like, you hugged everybody like you normally do. You gave Adam a kiss on the cheek, blah, 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 blah. And you walked out of there like nothing had ever happened. And like, I was like, all right, I'm never like, I, I don't, like, I don't know how I've gotten away with certain things that I've ever gotten away with.
Yeah.
I,
Me
I've,
neither.
I've cleaned up my act now later in life.
Yeah. I think that's why we're friends here. Pee, puke, or fart story.
Yeah, I was waiting for this one. So we're not going to the shit story. We're going to the pee, puke, or fart first. I have the maybe the most embarrassing one of all time. So I was chubby as a kid, like up through like seventh and eighth grade,
Yeah.
and I was always like the safe friend,
Yeah.
for a lot of like just the girls
Yeah.
and ran with like some popular kids growing up. So I'll never forget we were at this girl's house and hanging out in their room, and her older sister, who I loved at the time, like also hanging out with us. And I don't know what the hell prompted this, but like we got into like a tickle fight, Dave. This is my maybe also the most embarrassing story of all time. So we like tickling and like rolled onto the floor, dying laughing. And she goes to like tickle me, and I just went like I let out. I let out and it wasn't even smelly. It wasn't anything like that. It's just like, how do you recover from that? Like, I couldn't say anything in the time. And like,
Yeah.
everybody like left the room and we went downstairs. And I was like, nothing there, like nothing was going to happen. But like, Jesus
Yeah. It
Christ,
was
of all
awful.
fucking times. And it was a ghost that came out of nowhere. Got me
Uh,
good. But I
awful.
literally took the air out of the room right there. Like we were
Uh,
having a good time and gone in a
awful.
flash.
All right. How about a shit yourself story?
Judging by everybody else's and listening along the podcast, I've had thoughts about this one. It's happened a couple times. And probably the worst one. So I was sick, and I actually like was supposed to go to dinner that night with Tori and her family, and was just I had the chills. I had the chills, but I was hot. I was, like one of those really bad
Yeah.
viruses.
Yeah.
And so I had thrown up, and I was like, I just need to get into the shower. Like maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help me feel better.
Yeah.
And I like sat down on the shower floor,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just letting the water hit me. And all of a sudden I felt like I needed to puke, and I went to hold it, and it just came right out the other end. And I just shit all over the shower floor.
Huh.
Um, so like insult to injury, like A, I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
Now B, now I need to like scrub, bleach, clean, I don't know, call bath fitter and get a new fucking shower. Like I don't even know what you do at that point. I guess the only good part about it was like it was obviously like a wet, watery, mucusy, sick shit.
Right.
But it was, I mean, like, in that moment, like everything hurt. Like
Just
my whole
defeated.
body fucking hurt. I'm defeated.
Yeah.
And now I just have shit. Like I'm in the shower and now there's just shit everywhere.
All right. How about caught having sex or catch anybody having sex ever?
I mean, I've, 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 I don't think having full blown sex. I definitely have like walked in on my sisters when I was younger,
Mhm.
like caught in the act, but like, they pulled it off, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
And I also not like fully having sex, but senior week, down the shore, like day one, my whole house was hopping, like house party to house party.
Yeah.
And a girl that like in high school we didn't even really talk. I guess we were both just kind of banged up on day one, too many shots of SoCo 100 proof, which I'll never touch again. And we like snuck back to our house,
Yeah.
and uh she's like going down on me, and we're whatever. And all of a sudden I hear the front door open. I'm like, fuck. And eight eight
8?
of my roommates
Oh,
come
God.
busting into the door. So
Motherfucker.
they know I had like left with said
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
and they come busting into the bedroom, and they're like, "What's going on?" Like that
Yeah.
whole type of deal. And I'm like,
Jerk
"Fuck
offs.
yeah!" So like, needless to say, the rest of the week, her and I never, we didn't really talk much the rest of the week or after.
It's funny. All right. I know I got to get you out of here. So we're going to do this in 5 minutes. I got 20 questions. You ready?
All right, fire away.
All right. What makes you angry?
Oh, man, you know what my biggest fucking pet peeve is, especially in this city, are people that fucking walk slow. And for some reason, the slowest walkers in the city take up the most space on the fucking sidewalk,
Yeah.
and it's always people that are like two or three wide. Like, just
Yeah.
I'm always conscious about it. Like if I'm walking with
Yeah.
my son or my dog, like I just like just know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah. Just get out of the way.
Just get out of the way.
Stop man spreading.
Oh, it's fucking brutal.
What makes you happy?
I mean, the cliche answer is my family, but it's the truth. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I wake up excited to see my son and his little happy face every day, and that's definitely something that kind of keeps me going, but it's definitely something that makes me happy.
Yeah. What makes you proud?
Tough one, man. I don't know. Like I guess just, I feel like I approach every day in life as just to be the best person that I can be, and I think that in and of itself, there's enough bullshit that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that that's good enough for me, that I
Yeah.
I kind of get through every day, and I'm true to myself.
If you could have done anything else like professionally that's attainable, what would you have liked to try to do?
I mean, like
I mean,
not a professional baseball
yeah,
player.
everybody wants to be a basketball. Me too. But now, like something, a different kind of profession.
I don't look at any other, like I don't look at professions and I'm like, oh my God, like that's something like I don't know. There's I guess nowadays like there's certain people like these speakers and these social media influencers. Not that I want to be like a TikTok dancer or anything like that, but there's certain people that have built like these online brands that I think it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I Barstool Sports, the way that some of those brands have fractured and now have built,
Yeah,
these huge podcasts, and like they're rubbing shoulders with their heroes, whether it's Jared Carrabis on the baseball front,
yeah,
or it's the foreplay guys, and they've shaken hands with Tiger Woods. It's like
yeah.
that kind of stuff is cool, and that would have been attainable had I had
Right.
given myself a creative bone. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love it. How about if one thing you could change about your life? Anything?
Nah,
Yeah, you good?
I'm good.
Yeah, me too. One thing you could change about the world.
The misinformation and the poor people that just fucking follow it, and like it's impossible to have a conversation with somebody without like some type of, I don't know, dumb belief or opinion. Like I don't know. I wish we could all kind of keep our fucking heads down and be good to one another,
Yeah,
regardless of of anything. We're all the same at the end of the day, and there's certain people that had better opportunities than others, and there's people that aren't willing to realize that.
yeah,
And that's hard for me to get, because I think as a world we should want everybody to succeed. I don't know why people feel the need to like
yeah. One up each
one up
other.
everybody. Yeah. I don't know how that changes the world or how I can change that, but
I think it would change the world
oh
dramatically.
yeah, no. But I
But
mean, like, I don't know how to actually put that into fucking words other
yeah,
than how I did.
no, I get it. What's most important to you?
My son.
Yeah. What's your most unreasonable quality?
I don't know if I have one.
That might be your most unreasonable
That's
quality.
probably my most unreasonable I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What's your most unreasonable quality?
Oh, me?
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
copy your homework.
I'd get angry at fucking dumb shit. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, I don't really get angry at dumb shit. There's times I guess where I kind of push the envelope, and maybe that's something I would change. I talk about like my drinking and partying. Like me me wanting to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
That's probably my most unreasonable quality. Thinking that I'm able to do all the things that I think I can do.
What's your best quality?
Probably how caring I am, I think, for others.
Yeah. What type of music do you hate?
Like any rapper hip hop from the last how what kind of music do I hate? Drake. Just him in general. But yeah, I mean really no. Just yeah, there's my most unreasonable qualities. I fucking hate Drake when the rest of the world loves him. I don't know. I think he's corny. Like there's corny rap that I hate.
Yeah. What is an everyday struggle?
Finances, man. I've been, I've been digging myself out of a gambling related hole, and I didn't pick exactly the cheapest college ever to go to. So,
Yeah.
that's honestly been a struggle. And like, maybe that's part of what drew me to the industry change is like, getting some clarity around that.
Uh, what annoys you most about others?
I fucking hate people that like feel the need to like lie to boost themselves. Like
Yeah.
it's like the one uppers and but when it's like they just constantly feel the need to like inject themselves into everything.
Yeah. You can't have a story. They always have to have a little bit better story.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fucking hate that.
How about what quality do you most admire in other people?
I appreciate when other people like communicate, like that kind of stuff. There's definitely things that I think like I could be better at on like even like the thought process about giving
Yeah.
that I other people are way better at. Then it's constantly top of mind maybe for them, or it comes to them a little bit more
Easily.
naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. How about if you got arrested, what would your friends and family think happened?
Drinking,
Yeah.
they immediately blame it on that.
If you could be the best at one thing in the world, what would it be? Any one thing. Golf.
Golf. God, I fucking hate how much of a struggle that game is. And yeah, I mean, that's it. For sure. Right now, yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What's your favorite sound?
Steaks hitting the grill. There you go.
Oh, that's a good one.
That or flushing a driver, since we're on the golf topic. Like
Yeah.
that sound of, yeah.
The crack of the bat's a
Yeah, the
great one
crack of the
too.
bat's a good one. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Least favorite sound.
Crying.
And all right, last two questions so I can get you out of here. At the end of the day, if you make it to the pearly gates and God greets you, what do you want him to say to you or her?
Welcome. That's a hard one for me to answer because of my own beliefs, but I don't
Yeah,
I think I've done enough that if that is the case and I continue to do enough, I think the type of person that I am that wouldn't be much of a conversation.
right. Yeah, I'm here. I'm all out
Yep.
in.
Yeah. What's up? There's no line. Okay.
If and when it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember you for?
Probably just that like the caring nature that I have, like that, like that's important to me.
Yeah,
I try to make my friends, my family, know how much I care.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, like that's probably the most important quality that I have.
All right. Thank you, buddy. I love you. Thank you for doing
Love
this.
you too, pal. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Let's have a drink. I know you got to get out of here, so get out of here. All right.
Thanks.
All right, bud. Later. And I'm out. Peace.